Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Gold Standard. I am your host, Ryan Fravel, with my co-host, Sean at Indy Forever on Twitter. Sean, spring camp is finally kicked off. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm great. How about you?
Doing well. Now, obviously, spring camp is going on as we speak. There are a few things that we're going to get into today regarding spring camp and some key injuries for the Fighting Irish.
Yep. Before we go into all that,
go ahead.
If you're watching and you have anything you'd like to ask or any comments or any type of discussion with us, feel free to comment for engagement.
For sure. If you guys like the show, we had 80 people in here last week. Go over to Week Zero Productions on YouTube. Go drop us a sub. Give it a video a like. Also go to Week Zero Productions on Twitter. Drop a follow as well. But anyway, Sean, let's get it out of the way. Key injuries so far in spring camp. Start off with the quarterback position, the most important position of all, Riley Leonard. Going to miss most, if not all, of spring camp with another surgery to his ankle. How are we feeling? Any concern there?
I was looking forward to seeing him in the spring game, but some people don't enroll until the fall, and they end up doing great. It's just spring. It's not like it's fall, right? But it is concerning. Injury comes in. There were rumors of some type of small surgery he had, but he was fine. He practiced in the spring. And now another injury concern with the surgery. So it is concerning on the sense of can you be healthy, right? But it's spring. I'm trying not to overreact. Steve Angeli has shown he can be a good quarterback for us. So against Oregon State, even though it was a opt-out bowl game, but still, I want Riley Leonard healthy. I think by fall, as they expect, he'll be healthy. I don't see any worry about him compared to the other one we're going to talk about.
Yeah, let me ask you this about Riley, because obviously there are some of our fan base that are freaking out saying, see, we need to do better in medical evals before we take players in the portal and all this stuff. Season's over. And then there's the other side that are, even if Riley's injured, even if he's injured during the season, we have full faith in Steve Angeli and the rest of our QB room to get the job done. Are you confident in the QB room if without Riley Leonard to get this team to a CFP?
I'm confident in Denbrock, and I'm confident in Freeman, and to a CFP, I don't know. Okay. Without Leonard, with the schedule's easy enough that I think Angeli could be decent. I don't think we could go far with Angeli compared to Leonard. If Leonard is hurt, I'd rather see as we talked, a Menchie or a Carr to just start and get some developmental reps. But I don't see him missing any time. It's early in the spring. The season doesn't start for what is it? April now, so 4 months, 4.5 months, 4 months. So he's got time to heal up, and I think he'll be healed up.
Is there any concern for you going into the season that this is something that could nag him during the season?
Of course, yes. Yeah, I'm worried about, and I've been thinking in my head we got Riley Leonard, but this could nag him. His performance could go down. He might not be as fast. He might not be as mobile. He might not be able to plant his foot overreactions, of course, but it's something that you have to react at because you've seen it happen so many times before.
Yeah, and for me personally, I was confused because I know Riley had the original surgery when he came to campus. Yeah. So, because I don't know the specifics about it. Is it the first surgery didn't do what it was supposed to, so he needed a second one, or was it something that he knew he needed to have?
I don't know.
Because that's where I'm like, if he knew he needed to have the second surgery, Why would unless it was like, oh, he re-aggravated it in practice and he needed another surgery to help fix it. But if it was something that Notre Dame knew he needed, especially when they were talking to him in the portal, I would have been like, okay, well, you need to get that done the minute you transfer over here instead of waiting. But I think that this helps Stephen Jelly, Kenny Minchey, CJ Carr get reps with the first team, second team that they otherwise may not have gotten with Riley healthy. So it kind of excites me for fall because Steve's running with the ones, Kenny's running with the twos. I've heard good things about both. So far through spring camp, I've actually heard that Stephen Jelly's been outperforming Riley. We kind of heard the same thing, though, with Hartman last year. Early on, that Hartman was struggling while Angeli looked really good, but that's just because Angeli's been in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, Angeli, Mike Singer, Daddy Mike Singer loves some Angeli. So
he loves himself some peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, so I mean, I view Angeli as a game manager, a winner, but I don't view him as. I see our ceiling with Angeli is making the postseason. I don't
think we could win do you think we could win a playoff game?
A home one, depending on who against? You could argue.
Throw out LSU. Can we beat LSU with Stephen Jelly at quarterback?
This year? Hell yeah.
Okay.
But
I like that.
Last year, well,
I think we would have beat LSU in the bowl game because they didn't have James Daniels or they didn't.
But it's interesting to you look at what our struggles were on offense last year, and offensive line looked good. Hartman ended up being a problem late in the year, but receivers, and I mean, we'll talk about this later, but I see the receivers being better for Angeli. So, I mean, I think we're overreacting. Leonard should be fine. It's probably a cleanup surgery. It's probably one that he had to have, but if he had to have it, maybe it was a certain time frame since his first one. I don't know. I think that Leonard came for a reason, and I think he's going to be fine. Now, if he's not, I think we have a more than capable backup quarterback to win us some games. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're going to go 0-12 with Steve Angeli. He's not Drew Pine, right?
And I mean, like ESPN, they came out with their like QB room rankings where it's like the best QB rooms with the most depth, and they had Notre Dame at 4, the 4th best QB room in the country behind Ohio State, Texas, and I think Georgia.
Yeah, I think that's
so. I mean,
insane to have us at 4. I think we should definitely be probably like 10 to 15 range. Well, depth, I'd probably say like 10, 9, 8, maybe. I mean, yeah, like we probably have like our backups are highly touted recruits. Depth wise, it's really good, but
that's what they're basing it off of. I mean, Texas is only there because they have Arch Manning.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't think we have the 4th best quarterback room in the country.
All right, let's get into the next injury. This one I'm a little bit more concerned about.
Yeah, me too.
Because of the type of injury. According to Tyler Hork, Notre Dame corner Benjamin Morrison had shoulder surgery and is out for the rest of spring practice. He's expected to return for the 2024 season.
That's too vague for me.
Too vague. When you say he's expected to return for the 2024 season, is that week 1? Is that fall camp?
It's like Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah,
getting hurt, and it's like, ah!
It's like, is that week 6? Is that, we'll see him he might be back for the CFP if we make the CFP.
We need him for A&M.
Right? Yes.
I mean, I
trust Christian Gray and Jaden Mickey.
We have plenty of depth.
Yeah. But he's just your superstar corner, and it's like tough to replace that type of talent.
Yeah, we need him. Like, I am hoping he is. Hopefully, I mean, shoulder, that should only be 3 months at most to me, right? 4 months. I mean, Matt McClain for the Reds just had shoulder surgery. He's probably going to miss most of the season, but there's a difference between batting, fielding than playing football. So, I mean, it's going to take him a little longer for rehab, but I don't see – he should be ready for week 1, right? I mean, that's what I think. I'm more nervous about this one than Riley Leonard.
Well, it came out that his surgery he's having is an arthroscopic surgery on his shoulder. The exact injury, it kind of depends. A lot of people are just assuming that it's a torn labrum, or something along those lines. Which if they have to go inside your shoulder and do the arthroscopic surgery, I looked it up for that injury. For athletes, because an athlete's timeline is different than a normal person's. A normal person's about 4 to 5 months recovery. For an athlete, it's about 3 to 4. So that puts us, what is it? It's about the end of March, so puts us about August, September. Yeah. So, and then
that's assuming if it's that bad.
Yeah, and that's also just assuming that his healing process goes well.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me is, like, we've seen it in the NFL. We've seen it in college. I mean, you just ask Cam Hart, right? Cam Hart had shoulder surgery a couple years back. It bothered him for a long time. He was still a really good player, but these types of injuries, I don't know if you've ever had a shoulder injury, Sean. Yeah. I have family that have.
I have not.
And that injury can nag. For even if you're like, you get the surgery and it's healed. Like, I have a family member that had a torn labrum and they got that whole surgery done. This is 20 years later, and their shoulder is still technically a bum shoulder.
Are we sure it's a torn labrum though?
No, that's what if it's a torn labrum, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what his injury is. But if it is, that's like the worst he can have. But I hope he comes back and he's 100%. But my worry is that I think he'll be back for the first game. But how much of an impact is that injury still going to have on him? Is it going to be something that lingers, or is it going to be something that he'll be completely 100%?
Hopefully, I mean, we'll find more in the next few months, right? So yeah. I'm hoping if we, in the next 3 months, we'll get more information on what kind of surgery. We'll get more information in the next few weeks of that. We'll get more information of his recovery. I mean, luckily it's early enough. This didn't happen in the summer, right?
For sure. But yeah, how confident are you though, if for whatever reason Ben Morrison is not ready to go week 1, in Christian Gray, Jaden Mickey, and Chance Tucker? Because I think Christian Gray, honestly, in terms of
at Texas A&M, I don't trust Chance Tucker, and
well, he'd be our third cornerback.
Well, put in it. Where's Ryan Barnes? Is he like a?
I think he transferred out. He transferred out.
Never mind then. Yeah, yeah, at that point, you're gonna have to play Carson Hobbs or something. I don't know if I trust
Hobbs right away, a true freshman.
I don't know. Benjamin Morrison better be healthy, because I trust the 2 main starters, but depth-wise, not. I mean,
if Christian Gray, knock on wood, were to go down. The thing is, I think, I'll just say this. I'm confident in Christian Gray, like you are. I'm confident in Christian Gray, Jaden Mickey, to get the job done. Beyond that, no idea. But I don't know how you feel about Christian Gray. I think Christian Gray is the best corner we have. The best player. Ben Morrison is our best corner right now. But I think Christian Gray, in terms of pure talent, is the best in the room. I just think Ben is better because he's been there a couple years. He's still a lockdown corner. But there's a reason Christian Gray is going to beating Jaden Mickey for that cornerback 2 spot. And Jaden Mickey is really freaking good.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're fine. We got good depth. I think that I trust Mickens, and if Morrison was down, I trust that the younger guys like Tucker are developed enough. And in the last, I mean, Tucker's been here for like this is like second, third year, so I trust Mickens. So, and
all right, let's get into some.
I think that both will be ready to start the year.
Okay. Let's get into some 2026 quarterback recruiting because this was kind of big news over this past week. Obviously, we have one on campus right now in Troy, Hun. I don't know how to spell his last or how you say his last name. He is visiting right now as we speak. He is the number 13 overall quarterback in the class as of right now. 122 overall player, 14th best player in the state of California.
Got the Dwight Schrute haircut right there.
Yeah. So yeah, he's visiting campus right now. But a guy I wanted to mention first of all because there is a prediction in for him to pick the Irish right now from our boys over at Blue and Gold. He's predicted to pick the Irish right now. That is Brady Hart from Cocoa, Florida. 6'5", 185 quarterback, number 9 quarterback in the class, 110 overall player, 17th best player in the state of Florida. I'll put on his tape, Sean, but a pick has gone in. How do you feel early on about this kid?
I want the next Brady.
You want the next Brady?
But no, I prefer him of the two, definitely. I think that he's raw, and he's got very good potential. But I view him as a top 10 quarterback, not top 5. Probably within the 5 to 9 range is right, or 6 to 9 range. Anywhere between there for me is where he's at in this class. But the 2026 quarterback class is pretty darn good.
So from everything that I've seen and I've been hearing, it's down to Brady Hart and it's not down to, but the main two guys that look like Notre Dame, is in the lead for right now is Brady Hart and another guy from Florida, Noah Grubbs. They're both top 10 quarterbacks in the class. Noah Grubbs just visited this past week. According to everything that I've read, sounds like his visit went extremely well. And he kind of went into the visit saying like, hey, like, I don't know. I want to kind of push this thing out. I want to visit all my schools. And then after this visit, his tune kind of changed. And he basically said, hey, after this visit, I might have to move my decision up because I understand that there are other guys that Notre Dame is going for and spots are filling up. And he mentioned, 5-star quarterback in the 2026 class, Jared Curtis, who just went off the board to Georgia, who Notre Dame was also in for as a reason why he's moving up his timeline. And from everything I've seen, Notre Dame has had conversations with both Brady Hart and Noah Grubbs and said, hey, this is a first come, first serve basis. Whoever commits first, it's theirs to keep.
Sounds familiar.
So that kind of sounds like Bear Bachmeier and Deuce Knight all over again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So between the two, you said you prefer Brady Hart?
Oh, 100%. And not only just as a player, even though I think it's close in terms of player rankings, I think I prefer Brady as a leader of the class. I think that he would I wouldn't call him a Deuce Knight type of, but similar to CJ Carr, I'd say. So I think that he would be a good start to the 2026 class.
Now we have his tape on. What are some things that when watching Brady that you like about him? Is there some things you think he needs to work on? How do you feel about Brady Hart as a prospect?
What I like his quick release, right?
Okay.
I still think he's raw. Some of the throws that he makes, and some of the tape, they're amazing throws, but some of them make me a little nervous. So I think like under Mike Denbrock and with his quick release, his talent, attributes, he can be pretty darn good. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I honestly, I love both Brady Hart and Noah Grubbs. I personally don't have like a preference between the two. It's also me kind of being selfish because both of them have liked and commented on my stuff before when I've made graphics. So I kind of like, hey, those are both my guys. Both of them, though, like Brady Hart is a Florida legacy recruit. I don't know if you know that, but the Gators just offered him a couple days ago, and both of his parents went to Florida. Um, so that kind of gives me concern because yeah, he's visiting Notre Dame, but is he one of those guys that's kind of like Notre Dame's his placeholder until I get an offer from like my dream school?
Well, he's offered from Florida.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, well, he just got that offer a couple days ago. So we'll see how that plays out. But let's get into the next guy that we just talked about that had visited this past week. Noah Grubbs from Lake Mary, Florida. Jesus, Notre Dame in this class, absolutely going after Florida kids. You love to see it. But Sean, tape here real quick. What are your thoughts on Noah Grubbs? I mean, are you like if Brady Hart were to go to Florida, are you completely fine with Noah Grubbs?
I am, and I think they're similar in quarterback ranking wise. I said Brady was 6 to 9 rank.
Mm-hmm.
I would have 7 to 10 rank, right? So
yeah.
It's like Bear a little bit. Like you really want it. It's a little different. Like I really wanted Dante Moore. Bear would have been a great backup choice. But the difference there is I think Moore's ceiling and talent's way higher. These are closer. This one's more just preference. These are both very, very similar.
I will say, I if I had to say, I think with Grubbs, you get more of a precise pocket passer. With Hart, he's more of a more mobile guy.
Kind of like Leonard a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, kind of like Riley Leonard.
But I feel like that fits our offense more.
Yeah. But I do like both. Like I said, I prefer. I wouldn't mind. And it's different than the Deuce Knight and Bear situation for me because, well, I thought Bear was like, oh, he's a nice 4-star QB. I never really was like fell in love with Bear as a prospect. I always wanted Deuce, and it's kind of funny because Notre Dame kind of it's like, hey, like it's a first come first serve basis for Deuce and Bear, and then we all know who they actually really wanted. But yeah, I mean, both of these guys, I think they're very close in comparison, and I wouldn't mind either. They each have their own strengths and each weaknesses, but when you have a QB room of Deuce Knight, CJ Carr, Kenny Minchie, Stephen Jelly after Leonard leaves,
they're also going into their junior year.
Yeah, and also it's like when you have two back-to-back quarterbacks like the way of CJ Carr and Deuce Knight that were top 5,
yeah,
you don't necessarily. There's not a need to go out there and be like, okay, we need to go out there and get another 5-star guy.
Yeah, we need to go out there and get another. I mean, it's nice you always accept them, but yeah. It's like we can kind of take a year off.
But like with how kids transfer out now, it's like you almost just want with like if you get 2 straight classes with elite level quarterbacks, you almost want the next class to kind of be like a chill. Like we need a guy that's going to be.
Not that these are chill quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, not these. No, not that these guys are like chill. Like they're not. They're just bodies or anything. But you can afford to be like, hey, if we miss out on Jerry Curtis, guys like that, it doesn't hurt us. But yeah, I mean, I really like both of these guys. So we'll see who picks Notre Dame. Is there one that you think pops before the other?
Brady.
Because Hart is visiting next week, but Grubbs just visited. And is there any shot Grubbs commits
before like Dante Moore did? Yeah.
You mean Deuce Knight? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dante Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a shot that he commits, but I still think that it's Brady. I don't know.
Let's also talk about let's get into a commit that Notre Dame landed. We didn't get to talk about this because we didn't have our show last week.
Oh yeah.
Hold on a second. I gotta get off this. We just got landed another commit in the 2025 class in a Notre Dame legacy. Another NFL legacy as well, Sean. By the way, and Jerome Bettis Jr., 3-star receiver out of Atlanta Woodward Academy, the son of, you guessed it, Jerome Bettis, the bus himself. I seen a lot of slander about Jerome Bettis Jr. online, which kind of ticks me off because there are people that think, oh, if his last name wasn't Bettis, he wouldn't have got an offer from Notre Dame. I disagree with that. I think there are situations in the past that were like that. With Bettis, I disagree. I really think he's going to be a solid receiver for Notre Dame. I think he can be that Corey Robinson. I don't know if you remember him, type receiver for the Fighting Irish. Yeah, like with he was a solid possession receiver that was always reliable. But yeah, not a kid that Notre Dame just like, oh well, you know what? Because he's Jerome Bettis' son, we'll just give him an offer. Because they obviously did pursue him. So, what are your thoughts on this commitment?
I mean, I think he's gonna be a talented player. Great get, Irish legacy. It's always good to get legacies, right? I mean, I'm not saying this is the only reason why, but I think it helps with him being Jerome Bettis' son. I think he's a talented player. Not saying he only got the offer because of this or vice versa, but him being Jerome Bettis' son, like you're gonna, if you want to go to Notre Dame, you're gonna. So now the only thing I think of this is very happy with the get, but now our wide receiver class has probably got one more, and we have a few prospects that are very nice for that last spot. That's what I think. But Bettis is a talented possession receiver. I see him. I see him as like a change of pace receiver. I don't know if I ever see him as like wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 starter. I see him as like the rotational piece. But he's got the potential to start. But I see him as like let's say we got Cam Williams, Micah Gilbert, and Jalen Greathouse and slotting him. All those are starters. I see for a good while him being a rotational piece probably until his late career.
I do think, though, that with Jerome Bettis, it's also nice because he does play safety. And I think Notre Dame takes 5 receivers in this class. I know we've got Burris, Terry, and now Bettis. It looks like Vines Bright might be that next guy, or Meadows. I'm really hoping we get Meadows. But if you have a receiver class of 5, would you be opposed to maybe trying Bettis out at safety? Because you do need safety depth has been a concern over the years. I do think, and him being 6'3", 6'2" as a safety with the receiver ball skills, we've seen how that worked out for Xavier Watts. Do you think it could be the same type of thing for Bettis?
I mean, consider it. I see him staying at receiver. I'd like to see it, but having Taylor in the class, I think they trust him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do think we take 5 receivers. It's just whether or not Meadows or somebody who just decommitted from Ohio State.
Yeah, Boggs.
So it's going to be – I really like Meadows a lot, but he might have taken too long. Do you
think Vines Bright? How do you feel about him? Do you think he's a legit option, or do you think it's kind of like Meadows and Boggs are the preference, and then Vines Bright's kind of like, hey, if Meadows doesn't, commit.
I think all three, it's first come, first serve.
Okay.
Now, I think they prefer maybe one or two of the options, but I think whoever goes first, I think the fifth spot's a body. They need depth. Because let's be real, someone's probably going to. We got all these transfers that came in that are gone after next year, and probably we'll have another transfer or so. So,
speaking of receivers, let's get into the guy we just talked about in Boggs, who just decommitted from the Ohio State University yesterday. How do you feel about this kid? Are you feeling good? I mean, thing we didn't talk about when we were talking about Brady Hart is that's his QB.
yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I will be honest. Since this came out today or yesterday, I have not looked much into him. So I'm going to have you take the lead on him because I never looked into him, didn't think he was someone the Irish were considering. And then now just hearing this, I just haven't had the time to fully get a grasp of how I feel about him.
So he's a 6-foot receiver, 200 pounds from Cocoa, Florida.
Yep.
Obviously, Brady Hart is his quarterback, number 212 overall player, number 26 receiver in the class. Rivals is higher on him than other people, having him as the 13th best receiver, the 73rd overall player. But to me, I really like his tape. When you turn it on, he's kind of that burner. He's got the speed and the physicality that you would want at receiver. Also, the thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about is Ohio State wanted him. Like, they wanted him bad. And what's one thing Ohio State's been known for?
Receivers.
So I think I trust their evaluation. And actually, a lot of Ohio State fans, I know some Ohio State fans that are some good friends of mine. They were actually pretty upset with this decommitment.
He reminds me a lot of Rico Flores.
Yeah, he's kind of got that Rico to him. He's a really good route runner. Like I said, he's really physical at the line of scrimmage. And he goes out and gets the ball. He doesn't wait for it to come to him. He goes out there and gets it.
That's the difference between him and Rico Flores.
But I really like his tape. And like I said, Ohio State fans were upset with this. So he must be a pretty damn good player.
Yeah, I mean, he looks.
I actually saw, some Ohio State fans compare him to like Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, he looks like he would be like arguably like this for like second best receiver in our class. Arguably first with this tape.
And I think a lot of like Notre Dame fans, when they first heard about this, they looked at his ranking and they're like, "Oh, well, see, this is just a kid that's going to decommit from Ohio State because Ohio State's got like 3 or 4 5-star receivers coming in."
Well, I think
that's not the case. That's not the case with this kid at all.
I've also seen reverse, like, oh my God, Ohio State, like this dude's a 5-star. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this I kind of prefer him over Meadows at this point now, looking at his tape.
Do you think that this is an indication that Boggs might know that maybe his quarterback is heading to Notre Dame?
That could be a dual commitment after his visit.
Yeah, because I mean, he just happened to be on campus recently for a visit. Decommits from Ohio State. His quarterback is visiting next week. Seems kind of a little fishy there. Yeah.
We're getting both of them on the same day. That'd be nice.
Oh yeah, and also think like how that could turn out in the future. You have a receiver and quarterback that played high school together. Has Notre Dame ever had that?
I've seen teammates, but I don't know quarterback receiver.
Like, because I know that happens a lot at other universities, but I don't think Notre Dame's ever had a QB receiver from the same school in the same year.
Well, they would be different classes.
Oh no, different classes, but I mean like they played together.
Yeah. Not that I think of. I don't think so. Not in recent memory, at least.
But yeah, dude, I love this kid, and I think if he he commits to the Irish, I honestly think he could be a day one contributor. next season. That's how good I think he is. I think he's a lot better than his ranking. To me, when I watch his tape, I think he's a top 100 type guy.
I see it. Yeah, I mean, I see it.
I mean, he's open on literally every single play. I mean, I don't know how the competition is in Florida, like especially Coco. I know there are certain places that have great competition. I'm not like a Florida expert.
You still got to be good, right?
Yeah, you still got to be good. But yeah, so that's Javon Boggs. Next up, we'll talk about a linebacker that just got crystal balled to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as of today. One that I am pretty excited about. I don't know how you feel about it. But Anthony Sacca, who, funny enough, is a Penn State legacy, but Penn State is not even in his top 5 schools, which is odd because they were pushing very heavy for him.
Yeah, I like this. He's probably the best linebacker in the class if we land him.
What about Madden Farema? Because I think he'd be the best. He's the top 50 recruit out of
yeah.
He just needs to go on a mission like KVA did, and God needs to tell him to pick Notre Dame.
Shut up. I see him as like a Bertrand type player. Well, a Kaiser. But I don't see him starting with the depth right away that we have. Maybe when Kaiser leaves. You never know. But I see Osbury or somebody stepping in. So I think if we do land Anthony, I do see him contributing for us probably as a junior, senior, special teams early in his career.
Yeah, the tough part about it is that our linebacker room is stacked right now with a lot of young talent. Let me just pull up his tape really quick. But I think Anthony Sacca is a really good linebacker. I think his ranking is a little too low for me because I do think he's like a top 125 type guy. He's got great instincts, great ball instincts. He's actually really good in coverage, which Notre Dame hasn't had a good coverage line. You see it right here. What linebacker do you see keeping up with on Notre? How many times did we see J.D. Bertrand get burned?
I see Snead being able to.
Yeah, I know Snead, but I mean, like, how many times have we had a linebacker that's got burned in recent memory, ever since JOK?
Yeah, I was about to say JOK.
It was like I think JOK was the last pure guy that Notre Dame had at linebacker that was an elite pass coverage linebacker.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing that pops off on his tape is that he's really good at pass coverage, which at linebacker position is really rare. So I really like this. How do you feel?
Yeah, like I said, I probably have him as a top 175 guy. I'm not saying he's close to the 175, but the talent, thousands of college athletes, but I mean, he's super talented. Like I said, I think could be the best or at least top 2 linebacker in this class, and I see him as a special teamer and then a junior senior starter down the line.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think
who in this class do you see starting right away? Pull it up real quick.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. So that's kind of tough because I have to really look at it, but and obviously Deuce Knight, I think
he's not going to start right away.
No, he's not going to start right away, but I think he has. He could win the starting job in 2026 for sure. Let me pull this up. So Ivan Taylor, I definitely think.
Let me see. I can't see it.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me pull that up. I do think Ivan Taylor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's a borderline 5-star prospect. And then Will Black, obviously, the 5-star offensive lineman. Burgess is a guy that I think is kind of under the radar in terms of like a lot of Notre Dame fans actually kind of forgot about him, that he was even committed. I think he's a lot better. I think he's a top 50 player. I've actually had conversations with Burgess himself.
I'm sure he
maybe,
agrees with you.
maybe we'll get him on for an interview. I asked him about it. He said for sure, just sometime down the line, because he is busy, as most these elite recruits are, doing camps and stuff. But yeah, I think he's a borderline 5-star guy, and I think he could contribute right away.
I think Taylor was my pick.
Yeah, I think Taylor for sure, but I think if I had to pick a guy that's kind of like in this class, it's kind of like the Joe Alt, where it's kind of like he's not the top rated guy in the class, but I think he's going to be a superstar, is Christopher Burgess for me.
I like Flanagan.
Yeah, Flanagan's really good too.
I see him being a beast.
I also think Joseph Reif is a guy that I think's very, very talented. He's been slowly moving up the boards. When he first committed, he was a low 3-star. Now he's a 4-star in the top 300. But if you watch Joseph Reif, he is a guy that is very, does everything. He plays D tackle, strong side defensive end, weak side defensive end. He played even coverage defensive end, edge, for his high school. So he did everything and anything for that defense and did it at a high level.
I think it's bold to assume, too, that a former Benjamin Morrison teammate wouldn't.
Oh, Creed Thomas, yeah, the guy we had on our show. And he's the next Ben Morrison, man.
Never know. And then, of course, the Terminator.
The Terminator. Man, you know what's crazy is the amount of 2025 guys we've had on this podcast. Like, we had Creed, Justin, we had Daniel Anderson on the pod, Davion Dixon. The 2025 class is just full of dudes that are just cool as hell. So yeah.
It's a good class. I don't know if I think it's better than the last two, but I think
it's hard to beat CJ Carr and Cam Williams. That right there to me is hard.
KVA.
And KVA and Gerby.
And then the class before?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, so that's the 2025 class as of right now. Is there a guy that you think is the next to commit in the 2025 class? Any guy that comes to mind?
Maybe one of those receivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It talks about. I can see a teammate visit, and then one after. I can see Meadows trying to pull the trigger first. It's going to be interesting. Other than that, this 2025 class, teams are just now filling up, and we're almost done.
Yeah, we're.
It kind of sucks because it's going to make recruiting when everyone's getting these commits and stuff.
We're just chill. It's like last year. Remember how many times in the 2024 class, like last August and October and stuff, did we see Bama got 10 commitments in the span of 14 days? But Michigan was getting 15 commits in the span of 20 days, and Notre Dame sitting there we already got our class, man. We were sitting there man, this is boring.
And signed everybody.
Yeah. But I do think it's good because I think at Notre Dame, this is why I love Freeman. And when you have the academic, standards and all that stuff and the issues with recruiting, the limitations, the small limitations you do have, it's key. It's good to get in these kids' minds early.
He makes Notre Dame cool again.
But what coaches do you see making connections with 2027 kids right now?
None.
Not a lot. A lot of these coaches, Kirby Smart, for instance, right? He just now, within the last couple months, has been starting to send out offers to 2025 kids.
Yeah, because when you're the double national champion.
It was just like, hey, we'll offer you what, like, we don't. I don't care if we offer
They
you.
also don't care if you've got 10 DUIs. They'll give you the offer anyway.
They got a alcohol problem over there in
LSU
Georgia.
and Georgia are like the two biggest problems.
Don't forget Michigan. You had a coach that had a DUI too.
Just once. It's not like it's an every year thing like Georgia and LSU. LSU's gotten a little better.
Somebody needs to call Alcoholics Anonymous for Georgia and LSU, man.
Dude, I drove through Athens the other day, actually, and I was nervous.
All these drivers.
Yeah, all these Georgia players.
But yeah, shout out to the 122 people that are watching live right now. By the way, last show we had 80, over 120 people. Sean, this thing is growing.
We get any questions?
Or? No, we did not. If you guys have any questions or comments,
suck as viewers.
Feel free to ask us. I mean, you guys can just type in the Twitter comments and it'll show up as a question. But, Sean, is there anything else you'd like to touch on? Because I think we pretty much touched everything.
We're getting closer and closer and closer to EA Sports College Football. You know, I gotta mention.
Hey, it is UFL season. Let's go. Go Showboats.
Oh, I do that. Just off topic. What do you think about NFL, like with the
hip drop stuff?
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. I was watching, like, I was trying to find a definition of a hip drop tackle, and what I was watching was like, because I saw clips of it, and I'm like, that's just tackling. That's just tackling.
Yeah. I mean, I get when you pull them down, land on their ankles, like that could be serious injury. I get with why they're doing it. But the video the NFL showed to what they were trying to stop, those were all normal tackles. They literally pulled them from a hips, landed on the side. And my question to you is, and I genuinely don't know the answer to this. I 100% don't. If you can't pull them from shoulder pads or anything down, let's say Isaiah Pacheco at the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20. He's getting closer and you're chasing after him. You can't pull him from the shoulder pads, but now you can't hip drop. How do you stop him? You try to trip them, but they'll break it if you push.
You gotta run, Sean. You gotta run around him, and then run straight at him. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really don't understand how you can stop that. Like them trying to save all these offensive players could cause defensive players to adjust things and cause injuries for them. Or if there's a pick six and they get hip drop tackle, I better see the same treatment. Or I think it's just going to be too inconsistent of a call, and another reason where the refs can rig some games.
And what worries me is they even asked like some of the top officials in the NFL, what's a hip drop tackle? And they said, we honestly don't know.
That's good. Then don't call it. Don't call it.
What I think what I think they should do if they're going to implement this is, instead of throwing a 15-yard penalty, if it's a hip drop tackle, fine the player. Like, that's what I would do. That way it's like, yeah, you can implement it, you can fine guys for it, but it's not affecting games.
Well, I mean, I think that if they pull them down and land on their ankles, okay. I'm okay with that. As much as I'm like, I wouldn't want it, I'd be more okay with that. But if someone's getting pulled from his hip and he like pulls him to the ground on the side and barely touches his foot, like some of the videos they showed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just a normal tackle.
I mean, dude, like, you got Derrick Henry. Let me say Derrick Henry, for instance.
You got hip drop tackle that motherfucker.
How else are you going to tackle him? Like,
I'm going to trip him up by his feet. No.
So he can just like stiff arm you or hurdle you. Like, I mean, with those guys, like, and the thing with the guys like Derrick Henry, for instance, if you could even go from the side, like, there's not the side, but the front of him, and try to wrap him up, his momentum is going to twist you. And you're going to end up on his backside because that's how you tackle.
So my question is, they're probably just going to have to jump on them, right?
Like you'll just be like in Madden where you just like start like jumping on people and hope it tackles.
Like,
dude,
what happened to football?
It's going to be 2-hand touch eventually.
That's why I'm glad college isn't implementing that.
Did you see the new, like, how do you feel about the new kickoff rule? Or you got to kick it in the zone?
I like it.
No touchbacks.
The only thing I don't like is no onside kick until the fourth quarter.
Well, I also don't like that you have when you do an onside kick now, you have to tell the other team and the officials.
Yeah, like that's the Saints wouldn't have won the Super Bowl.
It kind of defeats the purpose of doing it.
Yeah.
Like if they're expecting it, right?
It's because it's like, are they going to onside it? Right? Oh, they're going to onside kick it. Oh,
and evidently how it works is like you've got to notify the official, and then the official over his mic says like, how they do like when somebody's ineligible, they're like, oh, number 94 is eligible, and they announce it to the stadium. That's what they're going to do.
I will say that I think that this is probably leading up to that 4th and 20 thing, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, but I like the kickoff rule not moving, right?
I don't like the no touchback thing. I get it that they're trying to get.
It goes out the back of the end zone touchback. It's a
touchback, but it goes to the 30.
Yeah.
So you get penalized 10 yards if it goes out the back of the end zone. Before, a touchback was to the 20.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think this is going to lead to more returns, and it's going to help the defenses I choose in fantasy. So.
I do like that we'll see more guys like more Devin Hester type guys where their returns will matter. Like for my Broncos, especially Marvin Mims he won returner of the year because he was an electrifying punt and kick returner. But
Baylor boy.
Yeah, he like how many times have we seen those guys just not make it in the NFL? I think it'll open a lot more guys for, a lot more doors for guys like on special teams and stuff, which I like, but
big adjustment to getting used to that.
I miss the old kickoff where we just kicked the ball off, you ran, and you had guys like Devin Hester that just took it 100+ yards to the house.
Jacoby Jones, Cordell Patterson, all them. It's going to be interesting.
Roning football.
I don't know what my Cardinals are going to do, and it worries me.
You'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. and you'll like it.
That's exactly what I want.
Yo, we got our boy Mamba Mentality. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
This is my boy from Lakers Nation. He's a fellow Lakers fan.
Nice.
So he's is a mod for them. So what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in.
But I think my Cards will get Harrison, and that's what I want. I'm nervous they're gonna mess it up and trade down, right? I don't get the comparison. I think Neighbors is a very good wide receiver, and I think if this was any other class, he'd be wide receiver 1. But I don't think it's close. Like, I think Harrison's a generational wide receiver talent, and I don't think Neighbors you can compare, right? But I don't want to trade away, right? We did that last year. I want Murray to have a weapon.
Did you see the recent mock draft that people came out with from NFL Network that they have you guys trading back with Minnesota?
Yeah, and then us getting 11.
They're gonna take JJ McCarthy at 4. That is so. By the way, if any team takes JJ McCarthy in the top 5, but instant laughability.
I've heard that a lot of teams want, if they like McCarthy that much, the Cardinals are going to get a good haul, right? So,
well, the Vikings have what, 2 firsts? So the offer is you guys will get 11 and 26, and then
we already have 2 first-round picks this year. So
you'd have 3. You'd have 3 to work with.
I mean, that'd be not. And then if we got a doozy or Neighbors and then we need more than just a wide receiver. So I get it, but I want Harrison. Like I want Harrison. I want someone to look forward to. Right.
I'm almost glad because, like, I know Sean Payton really likes JJ, but I'm almost glad that we're not going to be able to get him because he's going so high now. It's like we're going to get Bo Nix and we're going to like it because we're going to get Bo Nix and we're going to like it because JJ is going to end up being a bust and we're not going to be the fools that trade up for him. So
JJ reminds me a lot of a Trubisky type player.
you know what JJ is? He's AJ McCarron, but he's more mobile. That's JJ McCarthy to me.
AJ
like
McCarron, beast.
if AJ McCarron, who was because what does everybody say about JJ? Why he's rising right now, right? He's a winner. He's smart between the ears, but they never mention anything about his tools. It's just he's very smart, makes the right play, doesn't turn the ball over. He's efficient. What does that sound like to you? He's a game manager. So
sounds like Brock Purdy.
Yeah. But okay, don't disrespect Brock Purdy like that because
he's
not JJ McCarthy.
I think if you put JJ on the Vikings with JJ and JJ, like, come on, man. JJ to JJ for a touchdown?
Justin Jefferson's going to be like, hey, bro, I need to head out. Trade me.
JJ.
No, dude.
That's how he throws it. No. But, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, for all you 125 people that have tuned in, we got up all the way to 126. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Gold Standard. We'll be back next week at our regular time, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So tune in for that. We'll be back with some more Notre Dame recruiting stuff. Hopefully we have a new commitment by that time. But like I said, if you guys like the show, please go over to Week Zero Productions. That's Week Zero Productions on YouTube. Go drop a subscription, comment down below what you guys thought of the video. Also go to Week Zero Productions on Twitter at the Week Zero Podcast. Go drop us a follow. But as always, Sean.
Hey, if you like the show too, my Cash App is Sean. But yeah, great show.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, stay safe. Go Irish.
Go Irish.